On today's episode of Open Box Policy, we have a pubic hair problem. There's a large pubic hair problem, and we discuss it.
Or is it a small?
It could potentially.
Oh my God, we're all fucking burning it out.
No, that's actually Jamie's right. It could be a small pubic hair problem.
Jesus Christ!
Right, gang, gang.
That's the big. Thanks, Devin. And coincidentally, that's the big topic we talk about. It's going to be interesting. We want you to listen, so we're not going to get into it too much because it's kind of a mystery. We also talk about some of the words and some of the phrases that kids use nowadays, and
these young people using these days.
Yeah,
the fire.
Yes, it's so absurd. We had such a good time. We had such a good time on this episode. Please listen. We want you all to enjoy it with us. We obviously appreciate you all listening.
Reach out to us on socials. Tell us what gang gang really means to you personally.
Yeah.
We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at OBP_raw.
And if you want to send us an email, go ahead and let us know when your big bush came in.
Yeah.
Was it 6? Was it 12? Was it 22? At obppodcast@gmail.com.
Fucking perfect. We all complain about our job.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a mom and I complain about my job.
Taking care of your
I guess
children.
I have another job too. I complain about both my jobs. But
Yeah.
still, everybody does. I mean, don't you complain about how's Waffle House?
I love it. It's fire.
I fucking hate you.
Man, there's this girl at work. Who is very young. She's like 24. And one night I said, "Hey, we got this thing going on and we're happy about it." And she said, "Yeet." And I
Did you have to Google it?
No.
I've had to Google things.
I just
not yeet, but other things.
I just was like, "What?" And she said, "Yeet." And I'm like, I said, "Are you saying neat?"
Are you saying skeet?
And I thought she said neat. And she said, she just did it again like a kid, like yeet. And I'm like, what
Like
the
a kid.
fuck is that? Don't keep repeating
Adam
it.
is the type of person
Just tell
to
me
get
what it means.
really pissed.
So she finally was like, oh, it's like an exclamation, like yeet. And I'm like, just say neat.
Yeah, and right now she's like at home telling her boyfriend about how she had to explain what yeet was to her old fucking ass
bearded
manager.
boss. Yeah, my boss.
He's
this
so
dickhead.
old. He just didn't even know. I just kept saying yeet, and he just didn't get it. One fucking idiot.
Yeah, but she does it all the time. I'll be like, oh, it's going to happen. She'll be like, fire. I'm like, what? Fire.
That's how I know I'm getting too old. Is it all like?
Well, fire is
So
pretty
fire.
easy to get.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's because
fire
it's saying, oh, that's
Yeah.
hot.
But at the
like when
same
people used to say, oh, it's hot. Remember Paris Hilton? Oh, it's hot, it's hot.
But
it's
I
hot.
also feel like we have, well, maybe not you, Devin, because you're much younger than us. But me and Adam have probably aged out of, even if I don't think we've ever been in a situation in the last 5 years where you have been like, either one of us probably been like, oh, that's fire.
Never.
Like, oh, that's hot. Like, just because.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
it's a lot easier to get than yeet, you know? No, I still don't know
Yeah,
what the
why
fuck yeet means,
E-E-T?
to be honest.
Yeah.
I guess it.
She does it in the one thing that I do appreciate is she does it in kind of a funny way. She'll say just like yeet, like she'll just like make a noise.
That
and
sounds
Well, that's
super fucking
that's
annoying.
like
Hey.
our language today. It's just like Anna the other day asked me about fucking gang gang. She was like, "What is gang gang? Have you guys ever heard of that?"
No,
I
what is
don't know
gang
what
gang?
gang is. Oh, no.
Theo Vaughn says it a lot.
I hate fucking Theo
I
Von.
know.
I know
you
you do. I know you do, but I don't know. I don't have like a right answer for her. I just
know what,
make up shit on the spot.
He was so fucking hot
So you
when
just
he was
made-
on.
I know he was
TV.
good looking. So when she said, "You know what gang gang
What
means?" You
is
just
gang
made
gang?
something up.
I was like, it's kind of like
Bang,
yeet.
bang?
And she was like, well, what does yeet mean? And I was like, honestly, it can mean anything that you want it to mean.
I'm going to guess that gang gang means like hardcore.
Wow. you guys should have seen Jamie's face when she was thinking of that.
I know. I didn't know what. I don't know why that came out. Are you looking it up?
It
no,
means
gang gang. I'll look it
hardcore.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that's what you were doing. What's everybody's guess?
Uh,
gang gang. Like I'm gonna bust your cap in your ass.
Oh, it's a song by the fucking Migos.
Oh,
first
Jesus
of
Christ.
all, "Gang Gang" is a song by the Migos, and I'm sure it's got some dumb
Look up
shit.
Urban Dictionary.
Yeah,
I am.
Urban Dictionary, that shit.
Steven, you are gang gang for that omniscient
Yeet, yeet.
flow boy cheddar. You find
Cheddar's money.
Oh my God! I'm about to use the N word. It gives an example of how to use gang gang, and it's got the N word in it. A word used to confirm feelings or plans between two people or a group of people.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
We're going to get ratchet tonight, Desiree. Gang gang.
Hey, are we gonna go see a Walk to Remember at 8 o'clock tonight
Gang.
at Opry Mills? Gang gang. Question?
Oh, here's
question
another one.
mark? Is it a question?
Oh, here's another.
Is it a question or a statement?
It's a statement. Like
It's like
Oh,
a
that's-
agreeance.
so.
We're
Yeah. So
doing
here's
that.
another one. Here's another one. Another definition for gang gang literally says when shit's dope. So
Hell yeah,
but
gang
so
gang.
it says a term when you and your gang. Oh, it doesn't even say are. A term when you and your gang chillin'. You already know squad yells, gang gang, we in this bitch. I swear to God.
Your face
Yeah.
was so
got into
fucking in character.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
you got
I
into
was
it.
your.
I know. I'm an actor.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. But you were just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're
Hell yeah.
boo. Yeah.
You already
gang.
know squad yells, gang gang,
Okay,
we
don't-
in this
right,
bitch.
don't-
All right,
Don't do the
You're
hand
getting
thing.
too far into
Sorry.
it.
Yeah,
too
your
far
face,
into it.
Your face was fine. The hand movement.
We should
was
start a
Sorry.
segment to where Adam just looks up a random word on Urban Dictionary and does the character examples to it.
God, that'd be good.
Yeah, these are crazy. Some of this stuff I'm reading is in crazy. Oh, a term used by small white kids who think they're black. That's,
That's what we used to call
Yeah.
wiggers.
yeah, wigger.
Yeah,
In
that's what a lot of people
in
used to call
in
Eminem.
Carmel, Indiana, where there's no gangs ever, but there were a lot of white, rich kids who thought
Frat
that they
kids?
Yeah, Carmel.
Did you
like,
say Carmel?
Yeah, that's where I grew up.
That's like a town.
It's a
Carmel,
city.
Indiana.
It's like where all the Colt. It's a very like wealthy. It's where all like the Colts players. It's not a place where
gotcha.
any gangs ever happen. It was like rated the last 5 years the best place to live in America.
Oh yeah, I forgot you grew up in a rich neighborhood.
Yeah. But
Gang, gang.
which is
When
which
shit's
is why there's yeah. Speaking of where I grew up.
Oh,
Yeah, so have you guys heard this recent thing about the family who adopted a girl and they thought she was 6 and she's probably really like 22?
Wait, is this the orphan story?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that shit
I
on
heard something about.
Snapchat.
I heard she was 9.
So now, I
Recap
think
it.
now. Yeah, so basically
Whoa.
the family originally were on, I believe, 2020 back in like the early 2000s. They live like less than a mile. They live about a mile from where the home that I was born and raised in, and they then lived a half mile from my parents live now, up until they moved. Anyway, they first were on 2020 because they had a son who was like 10, who was basically a genius. And he was like in college at the age of 12. And anyway.
Was he autistic?
Yes.
I remember this vaguely.
Yes. And so she wrote a whole book about it, and like they wanted more. So that was like their claim to fame. Like, she wrote a whole
Look
book
at
about
this cool kid that we raised that we.
yeah, and how to do it, and like he has to be a genius. And, yeah.
Look
Right.
at my
So-
cool
how to
autistic
raise
son.
a genius child.
Yeah. So anyway, they wanted to have more kids, but they couldn't. So they were in an adoption process. And I think I have the exact date, but they were looking to adopt, and they got a phone call, and it was like 2006, I believe. They got a phone call from an adoption agency in Florida that basically said, listen, we have this Ukrainian girl. She's 6 years old. Her people who had adopted her there's an emergency and they can't take her anymore, and like you need to come, if you want her, you need to come down here in the next 48 hours.
It's kind of
and
greasy.
adopt her out.
Christ, yeah,
and
that's
adopt
Kind
her
of
out.
greasy, like.
Yeah.
If you want a kid, you got to come.
Well, I don't.
Low price.
You know, who knows what processes they were going through? Maybe they wanted a special. Obviously, she was special needs. But anyway, they went down there. They went to adopt her. They signed the paperwork really fast. They had very little questions to ask. There were statements made like when they picked her up. And they were like taking her. They basically, the adoption agency said like she can't walk, and they were like, oh well, we didn't know anything about this.
Well, we don't want her anymore.
Well, no, but they said we didn't know anything about this, but it's fine. They brought her home, and like for the following like month or two, they did a lot of stuff. They went to Disney World, they went to the beach, and they said the first thing that threw them off was they were at the beach with her and their 2 sons who were older.
I have a feeling this is about to take a turn.
No, and the 2 sons were in the ocean. And she looked at the parents and said, can I get in the water? Well, she couldn't walk. And they said, yeah, give us like 5 minutes. Like they were physically exhausted from dealing with the kids all day. Let's just sit down. And the second they said that, she stood up and ran into the water. And the wife looked at the husband and goes, she hasn't walked in like weeks.
What the
But
fuck?
they kind
So
of
she ran.
That's what I would've said.
ran. So this is a classic sign of like, fucking trust your gut and look at the red flags and let's pay attention. So they continued on with their life and, with her, and they noticed small things like the first time they gave her a bath, which is normal to give a 6-year-old. I mean, she had
a dick.
Just like the Orphan movie.
Yeah.
She had a full-on
Boner.
bush.
Bush.
Yeah, pubic hair.
And she was supposed to be 6?
Yeah. And
That's
so
impossible.
The family and the family knew that she had a sort of dwarfism. Can you?
I'm sorry. He said that's impossible, and I was going to be like, trust me, I know. But I mean, that's so fucked. And I couldn't say it, but it keeps like wanting to come out. Like,
I bet it does want to keep coming
So
out.
this is
Yeah.
This is basically turning it into the plot of Orphan.
It is, right? So they started to notice that the mom would start to notice that she would find underwear and pants in the trash with blood in them. Like this girl was getting her period. She would just throw them away and try to hide it.
And I've actually heard stories about little girls that are so ashamed of having their period that they'll do those types of things.
Yeah, not at 6.
Obviously.
And also,
No,
if
no,
you're
I'm just saying,
but if you're hiding
if you're
your
hiding
age,
it, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, 6-year-old, like 14,
yes.
15-year-old girl that's like having her period, or 11 or 12
well,
or whatever.
that's the parents' fault. To be fair.
All right. Well, that's a discussion for another day.
Periods are parents' faults.
No,
Yeah.
being ashamed of your period is the parents' fault. You should be ashamed of that.
I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, back to it.
What if it's kids
So, yeah, let's
bullying
get back
them
to
at
this
school?
pubic hair.
Anyway,
Let's get back to
continue.
these pubes.
There's a lot of reasons why you could hide your panties. I
Is it
shit
like
my
a-
pants when I
They
was 7. and I used
they
to hide
also noticed other things, like they adopted her at 6. The prime time that kids lose their teeth is between like 5 and like 8. The baby
Yeah,
teeth
all the
or
baby
start
teeth.
to.
Yeah.
She never lost a tooth. She
Well, yeah.
only had permanent teeth. So, and then she apparently started doing really psycho behavior.
So I read, I stayed out of a lot of the story because I didn't need the minutia. The
Yeah.
title gave me the minutia.
minutia.
Then I hear tried to stab me. I read this. Tried to stab me,
Yep.
tried to push me into an electric fence,
Okay,
and
so-
poured bleach in my coffee.
Okay, so here is where things get dicey.
This is where it turns more
I'm-
into the.
Well,
actual
I'm going to
hold
be
on,
honest
hold
with you. It would have gotten dicey when I
Yeah.
saw the pubic hair.
Okay, so here's the issue. This is a very he said, she said thing, because the mom and the adopted mother and father have now been arrested because apparently when they found out, quote unquote, that she was not a child anymore and she had all these psychological issues, they got her age legally changed from like 8 to 22. And then they basically left her an apartment in Lafayette, Indiana, and then they moved to Canada and they paid her rent and they paid for her groceries and like got her going for school like any quote unquote parent would do for their college student, the mom said.
Yeah, fucking
So-
right. I would just left her. I wouldn't even pay for her.
Everything was going fine, but then this was found out, and now they've arrested the parents. So now it's a very he said, she said. Now the parents are saying...
Well, they arrested the parents for like child abuse, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the parents are saying, listen, I caught her trying to poison my coffee.
Yeah.
We would wake up with her,
Bleach.
and all these big, long things of her being a crazy sociopath. The family doctor said, listen, she came in. I did a bone density test. She is, at the time when she was 6, I aged her out over the age of 14 and above. And that was like in 2010, I believe.
So this was the doctor coming forward with them?
The family doctor, yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
But the state now is saying, well,
that was then.
we're not really, we're not really sure. There's a family who wants to legally adopt her, so they're trying to get her age changed back now lower so they can legally. And I'm sorry, I looked at them on Facebook. They are fucking.
Well,
they're doing it for like the money and like to be,
of course,
maybe
and for
on camera.
the notoriety.
They're really gross people.
The fact that you were able to find them on Facebook and look at their profile just kind of baffles me.
I have pictures.
Well, hold on. I want everybody to hear this. So you mentioned that she was like deformed and whatever.
No, I never said deformed.
Well, whatever. You said she was. You a little while ago. You said, and I quote, she was super retarded.
You're so fucking full of shit.
You said that.
Look
you
at
said
you.
she was a little retarded baby.
Right.
You are so
with a huge bush.
Oh, I fucking hate.
That's going to be the name of the episode.
No.
Super retarded baby with a huge
If that
bush.
is the name of the episode, I am
bush.
fucking leaving. No.
So anyway,
I said that she had a
medical condition?
form of dwarfism.
Okay, so you did
and
mention
that's
that.
why.
Okay.
No, but that is not the same thing as super
Right.
Super
fucking
retarded baby
deformed.
with a huge
I'm pretty
bush.
sure. I'm pretty
Gross.
sure you
You're
said
awful.
she had a huge bush, and when that was discovered, she was like, "Gang, gang."
Yeah.
And the mom was like, "Yeet!"
Yeah. Yeet, look at this bush. So
Oh my God.
so anyway, the type of
So look up. I wanted you to look up the type of dwarfism.
It is.
Not the whatever.
yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So she had a type of dwarfism.
Okay, here we go.
It's a big
Here
word.
we go. Here we
It's a
go.
big
This
one.
is at least. May I count the letters? Can I count the letters?
Yeah, and then can you also say it, and then can you have the translation say it after you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I'm getting stage fright. It's It's spondyloepiphyseal dysplasia. I just did it.
How many letters?
Spondyloepiphyseal dysplasia.
Nice.
It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Oh,
9,
wow.
10, 11, 12,
Okay.
13, 14, 15, 16, 17 in the original word. And then dysplasia is dysplasia. Spondyloepiphyseal
I don't want to kill
dysplasia.
those.
Yeah.
So
Spondyloepiphyseal
less
dysplasia.
pubic hairs than what that girl had on her body.
Right. Yep.
Ah.
That was good.
Yeah, that was a good joke.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
So, yeah,
So can you do a quick rundown real quick of what? Because there's lots of types of dwarfism. Didn't you read it? Didn't you look it up and say it was kind of rare?
Oh, it's super rare.
Okay, so can you read?
Yeah, give me just 1 second.
Like the plot line of
while-
Orphan rare.
Well, while he looks it up,
my problem. Hold on, before we say anything, I want to just put this in there. My problem with this whole thing is that movie Orphan came out fucking 10 years ago, 15 years ago. This story sounds a little too close to the plot of Orphan for me to feel comfortable with it. It's like they stole the plot of Orphan just to get rid of this chick, and now are
but
Just
I think
to stop taking care of her.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
They also diagnosed her apparently with a psychological disorder that only shows up in adults, which was another key thing.
Which
And
was another reason why they believed that she was older.
Yes. And then I also read the Indiana courts went ahead and they actually approved the fact of getting her age changed legally because of the evidence from the pediatrician years ago. So the same courts that said, yeah, she is older than what she is. She can go into psychiatric care and get adult care, and the things that your doctor has showed us shows that she is older than what she really is, are the same courts who were now saying you neglected this so-called now child.
Yeah.
So that's where it's getting really like convoluted.
So are they getting nailed for child neglect?
Yes.
Specifically
it's
child neglect?
They called it child abuse, child neglect.
Yes.
But here, this is from like this government website about this this whole ordeal, or about like the actual dwarfism. It says people with spondyloepiphyseal dysplasia congenita have mild changes in their facial features and abnormally large bushes.
I don't fucking believe
Listen,
it.
if you're not going to fucking read the real shit.
It says abnormally, and it's in bold. And then their
Like
cheekbones
the color of the
are
bush.
close to their nose. They're barrel-chested, and we want to repeat ourselves. They have abnormally large bushes.
Oh, my God.
It says it.
No, but what was
This is it's a totally insane story.
But
And
what was that? Read the facial thing again.
The facial thing?
About what their faces, the facial deformity.
It says they have cheekbones close to the nose. They may appear flattened. Some infants are born with an opening in the roof of their mouth, so they have the cleft palate. It's common that they're going to have eye problems, impaired vision, and some of them have hearing loss along with the physical abnormalities. They'll have flattened vertebrae. They'll have abnormal hip joints, leg bones. Apparently, it affects... It's the type of dwarfism that affects your long arms. So, like, your legs and your arms will be, like, abnormally short and kind of curled in. They could be very barrel-chested or have big stomachs. They have, like, bad arthritis, limited joint mobility, and...
A whole lot of gang shit.
Yeah. Man, that shit is gang.
Okay.
You guys are
Yeah.
fucking
I'm sorry. You said it.
I don't say shit.
You keep going off on it.
Let's go back to the story, Adam. You said you don't believe it?
When I was reading about the story, there were a couple times when the parents were quoting and when they were putting the pieces of the puzzle together where it sounds stranger than fiction. Okay. If that makes sense. Yeah. It's so ridiculous.
So here's...
But the crazy thing is, I was thinking about this. So if you haven't seen the movie Orphan, there's a movie Orphan that came out.
It's not very good.
It's not very good. With a girl that doesn't have any abnormalities. She just is she's very small, and she plays
looks
herself
like she's
off.
12, yeah.
Yeah, she looks like she's really young. This family adopts her, and then it all goes to hell. It's a horror movie. Well, they put a picture of her up in the article, so it made me start thinking about that movie. Then when I started reading the article, all of the similarities are so striking.
Well, yeah, they do that on purpose, obviously.
So if they had never put that picture up, though, I'm wondering if I would think that it was very close to the movie.
Well,
yeah, absolutely, man.
Well, I mean, it was a shitty fucking movie. I would have read...
I saw it in the movie theater.
But to be fair, when I first read the article, which was before they ever compared it to that, I didn't think anything of that. And then the next day, I saw it compared to Orphan, the movie, and I was like,
Wait, when you first read this, you didn't have any inclination to believe that it was the plotline of Orphan?
No, because you know what? I watched so many goddamn horror movies, and Orphan sucked. It didn't even cross my mind. It was not something that I thought, yeah, that's it.
It was bad. It was a bad
to
movie.
be fair, if you would have come to me last week and been like, "What's movie Orphan about?" I couldn't tell you. I couldn't even tell because I thought it was pretty shitty, I guess, because I don't remember anything of it. And then once it was brought to my attention that that's what it was about, I went, "Oh yeah, okay." So maybe that's why I believe it more, because I don't know. It
says the victims claim that the true victims are her and her family, who were terrorized for years by the mysterious imposter who threatened to stab them in their sleep, pushed them towards electric fence, and poured bleach in her coffee.
Yeah. So I will say one thing. I posted the article on Facebook 2 days ago, and I had a massive amount of mainly my hometown friends, because it happened, close to where we all lived. And one girl that I went to high school with mentioned how, her sister lived across the street, and there was a lot of weird shit that went on while they lived there. They don't live there anymore. But then I had somebody else contact me, privately. Like, this other girl put it on the message board, but another girl contacted privately and said that she actually lived down the street from them during this time. And, like, it was just commonly known in, like, the neighborhood that she was older than what she appeared. She would hang out with the teenage girls rather than like the girls that would supposedly her age, and it was just kind of like
I think that was in the article too.
The mom would say like she's older than what she looks and stuff like that, and the mom always
sometimes
claimed,
you just need perspective. You know?
I don't know. The problem is that we just need more information, and there has to be a way to get more information. Like, it's not just going to end like with he said, she said. There has to be medical information. There has to be something. You have to track down where she came from.
Yeah, you got to track down where she came from, if at all.
Well, I know the pediatrician said that, but then we had the state of Indiana coming back after they already claimed that they believe the pediatrician, recently coming back and being like, no, we actually think she's younger now. So it's according to the defense, they're saying, you know, they're picking and choosing one information. I don't know. I hope this doesn't just disappear because I'm too fucking obsessed.
I hear you.
A lot of people obsessed.
I mean, it's scary, man. I'm looking at these quotes right here. She was standing over people in the middle of the night. You couldn't go to sleep. We had to hide all the sharp objects.
Yep.
I saw her putting chemicals, bleach, Windex, something like that in my coffee. And I asked her, what are you doing? She said, I'm trying to poison you. Mm-hmm. Bitch.
They also...
I'm trying to poison you with my huge bush.
They also...
I was one. Hey, no, I was literally sitting here trying to think of a way to add in Big Bush.
Why?
Do you think they trimmed it?
Like, why am I even fucking here? You two just need to have like a whole podcast about fucking bushes.
No, because if you
look
weren't...
at Devin losing his shit over trimming bushes.
Look how red his face is.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like a sun-dried tomato.
This is what I figure. You've heard all the bullshit with Trump and the Ukrainian prime minister or president.
This is a spy.
This motherfucker needs Trump to stay out of being impeached. He just needs to call the Ukrainian prime minister and be like, I want to fucking know who this little girl is.
You're right, yeah.
Like,
if he solves this,
if
he solves this, I vote no impeachment.
That's probably the first Trump thing I've ever heard come out of your mouth that I totally fucking
agree. Yes. Yeah.
How fucking awesome would it be? Listen, it wouldn't do anything, but it's like, listen, man, I need to get like really good with like, you know, people.
Yeah.
So can you figure out who this chick is?
Exactly.
All I know is she's got a bush. And she's from your country.
And then she's a dwarf.
And then she may be crazy.
Yeah, and like every other
she's
Ukrainian, she tries to kill her parents.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I mean, yeah.
It's not her
you know,
physical
if Nancy
deformities.
Pelosi, if this fucking happens, Nancy Pelosi will be like, God damn it. Like, I can't fucking do
I
anything.
drop out. I drop out.
I'm dropping out of politics. Fuck it. Yeah.
He figured out who the child woman is.
Yeah.
No, he's gonna save that shit until the actual race, and it's gonna be between him.
Election.
He'll
Yep,
give
there you
himself
go.
the Medal of fucking Honor for that.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Guys, that was too good. I enjoyed that. I really did.
Yeah.
All right, Devin, take
Good
us
job,
out.
guys.
Anyway, the moral of the story is, if Florida
Trim
ever
your
calls
bush.
you about adopting a child, just say no.
Just say no.
Just say no.
This is Devin.
This is Adam.
This is Jamie.